I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it, because lawn care is one of those things that quietly eats up your weekends. I have spent plenty of Saturdays pushing a mower, trimming edges, cleaning up, and feeling like I just rented my own free time back for an hour. I wanted something that would keep the lawn under control without me having to think about it all the time. And I wanted something I could actually live with day to day, not just something that looks good in a product page. This is a robotic mower meant for a typical homeowner with a moderate-sized yard who wants the grass kept consistently short. The reason I looked at this model in particular is the way it handles boundaries. Instead of burying a perimeter wire around the whole yard, it uses a satellite-based setup with a separate reference station, so you can create virtual boundaries. That sounded great to me, mostly because I have done the wire thing before, and I am not interested in digging trenches again, fixing breaks later, or redoing the layout every time I change something in the yard. The first thing I noticed when I got it out of the box is that it is not small. It has real weight to it, around 59 pounds, and you feel that when you lift it. It is manageable, but I would not call it light. The handle placement helped a lot. It is in a spot that makes it easier to pick up without awkward twisting. The body is mostly plastic with metal in the places that count, and it feels solid in a normal, practical way. Nothing about it felt flimsy. The wheels are big, and that matters more than I expected. In my yard, I have a couple transitions where the ground is not perfectly smooth, and those larger wheels helped it roll through without getting hung up. Unboxing was more involved than most tech products because you are not just pulling one item out and plugging it in. I had the mower, the charging station, the reference station, power cables, mounting hardware, printed documentation, and spare blades. There is a moment where you look at everything spread out and realize this is more like installing yard equipment than setting up a phone. I took my time and laid everything out so I did not miss a piece. The reference station setup was the part that tested my patience. The mower needs a good signal, and the reference station needs a good spot where it can see the sky well. In my yard, trees and the side of the house made placement a little annoying. I tried one spot near a wall and the signal was not stable. I tried another spot that felt convenient and it worked for a bit, then dropped. When I moved it to a more open area, it settled down and stayed consistent. Once it was in the right place, I stopped thinking about it, but getting there took some trial and error. After that, mapping the mowing area was the part I actually enjoyed. I used the phone app and walked the mower along the edges of where I wanted it to cut. It felt like drawing the outline of the yard. I set up areas I wanted it to avoid, like around a flower bed and a spot where I keep some yard tools. That was the moment it clicked for me why the virtual boundary approach is useful. If I change something later, I do not have to dig anything up. I just update the map. In daily use, it has been a lot more hands-off than I expected. I set a schedule and it just goes out, cuts for a while, then returns to charge when it needs to. The sound is noticeable if you are standing close, but it is not loud in the way a gas mower is loud. I have let it run while I am making dinner, and it did not take over the whole evening. My neighbors have not mentioned it, which is usually a good sign. Cutting height adjustment through the app is one of those features that sounds minor until you use it. I changed the height a couple times as the season changed and the lawn growth changed. I did not have to flip it over and mess with levers. I just adjusted it in the app and let it do its thing. The cut itself looks consistent as long as you treat it like a robotic mower and not a one-time weekly haircut. It works best when it is out there often, taking small amounts off the top and keeping the lawn even. I tested it in the spots where my older robotic mower used to struggle. I have a slope that is not extreme, but it is enough to cause wheel slip on some machines. This one handled it without digging ruts. I also have a narrow passage near the driveway where things can get tight. It made it through without bumping around too much, and it did not get stuck there the way my older one did. It is not perfect at edges, though. Like most robotic mowers, it gets close, but you still may want to do a quick touch-up on certain borders depending on how clean you want the lines to look. The app is where most of the real-life control happens. I used it to set the schedule, adjust cutting height, and check status when I was not home. It also gave me peace of mind with the built-in security features. I am not going to pretend I sit there watching the mower on my phone, but I like knowing I can check on it quickly if I get a notification. When it had a problem, the alerts were useful, and I did not feel like I was guessing what went wrong. There are limitations, and they mostly come down to your property. If you have a yard with lots of heavy tree cover, tight spaces, or a layout that blocks satellite reception, you might spend more time getting the reference station placement right. If your mowing areas are far apart with no easy path between them, you will need to think through how it will travel or whether you are expecting too much from one mower. In my case, my yard is close to the kind of yard this mower seems built for, and it shows. There are also a few small frustrations I ran into. The setup process is not plug and play. It is doable, but you need to be willing to read instructions, place hardware, and troubleshoot signal strength. I also had a couple moments early on where I thought I had the boundary perfect, then noticed it was cutting a little closer to a bed than I wanted. Fixing it was easy, but it took a few adjustments to get it exactly right. And because the mower is fairly heavy, if you do need to carry it, you will feel it. After living with it, the main thing I appreciate is that it takes mowing off my mental list. The lawn stays consistently cut without me planning around weather, daylight, or motivation. I still do normal yard stuff like edging and cleaning up leaves, but the repetitive mowing loop is basically gone. For my situation, the virtual boundary system is the reason I would stick with this approach, because it saved me the hassle of wires and it makes changes later much easier. Overall, I am glad I put the time into the setup, because the day-to-day experience has been simple. If you want a robotic mower that can handle regular residential grass, keep the lawn looking steady, and run quietly in the background, this one has been reliable for me. Just go into it knowing the reference station placement matters, and the first day or two might involve a little tweaking before it feels fully dialed in. If you have questions about how it handled a specific yard layout, or you are deciding between this and another mower, leave a comment and I will share what I can from my use. If this video helped, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.